Hey, bro, Dillian Whyte got one. He said he would not be surprised if YouTube gave his mandatory #1 spot with the WBC at heavyweight to Iron Mike Tyson. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Now head over to Patreon. I got some stuff. I will be shifting some of the content that you see on YouTube over to the Patreon and YouTube channel member side of things. I'm trying to give everyone a fair warning so you guys know, but there will be more content that I'm, gearing towards that. We're going to build that up. Patreon, YouTube channel members, you don't want to miss a thing. Patreon in the description. YouTube channel members, to become a member and get more information, hit the join button next to the subscribe button. Now, on an interview with the AK and Barack show, Dillian Whyte said something. It was pretty funny. He says, quote, "I wouldn't be shocked if he gave my #1 spot," talking about the WBC. They're asking about, the WBC shot with Tyson Fury or Wilder Fury 3 winner. He says, "I wouldn't be shocked if they gave my #1 spot and mandatory to Mike Tyson, to be honest." He says, "I wouldn't be shocked at all." He says that you can tell he's dejected. He said, "That's silly, someone like Mauricio Sulaiman should not be encouraging a living legend like Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield to come back in the ring. These guys are old guys. They may be in shape. They may look strong. They may put up a good 15, 20 second, 1 minute videos of them training, but you ain't gonna fight no young man for 12 3-minute rounds standing in the ring like, dude, you're 50. Like, you haven't lived the best life, You've abused your body and you've abused yourself physically and mentally. This ain't no joke. These guys can die in the ring. It ain't no joke. Mauricio Sulaiman shouldn't be encouraging their comebacks. Just encourage him like, you're a living legend. Pass the knowledge on to the younger guys and help some of the younger guys. Don't come back. Like, forget it. Just relax, man." He said, "It's easy for me to sit here and say, oh, I wouldn't fight him. I wouldn't be interested in a fight with him. But, I would take a fight and whoop his ass just to say, I beat Mike Tyson. I don't care if he's 200 years old, because growing up, Mike was the man. I'm just saying, that's right. I'm trying to get this bread, but, I just think Mike Tyson needs to chill. It's all good. Evander Holyfield looks even worse. Even Evander Holyfield, he looks slow. These guys had hard fights. Them guys had real heavyweight fights. Evander Holyfield, I think he should be ranked higher than Mike Tyson in history because Holyfield, look, I'm going to give it just flat. Holyfield fought everyone. He fought Lennox Lewis. He fought Tyson. He fought Michael Moore, Riddick Bowe. He fought George Foreman. Mike Tyson didn't even fight all those guys. Evander Holyfield fought Burt Cooper. Mike only fought Lennox Lewis, and he lost to Lennox. I believe Evander Holyfield, there's a case saying that he won both fights with Lennox Lewis, end quote. So he actually, kind of took some shots at Mike Tyson. He says historically he would rate Evander Holyfield higher. And it's funny because there's an old video from 2017 when Deontay Wilder was the WBC champion and he was driving in a car, and that recently surfaced. And I seen a lot of people from Twitter in the UK, and they were resharing this video in 2020. So a video that's 3 years old from Wilder, and he was questioning Mike Tyson's resume, right? And saying, who's he beat? Like, who's Mike Tyson beat for real? And a lot of the UK fans on those UK pages on Twitter were saying, oh, look at Wilder. He's a plunker, and, what a twat. How's he talking about Mike Tyson? This is ridiculous. And then virtually 2 weeks later or whenever, you have Dillian Whyte, who's kind of saying the same thing that Wilder said 3 years ago, questioning Mike Tyson's, who he fought and what in-prime fighters did he fight, etc. And let's see if the UK, once again, has that same energy and says something and gets mad at Dillian Whyte like they were the fake outrage and getting mad at Wilder for an interview from 3 years ago. People were posting this like this was a current interview or something when he said what he said about Mike. But now you have Dillian Whyte, who's almost in real time saying worse, because he said, I'll mess Mike Tyson up. I'll beat him, and he need to chill, and questioning his resume and stuff like that. So all the people that allegedly stood up for Mike Tyson when Wilder said his piece 3 years ago, which resurfaced recently, let's see if they have that same energy. Listen, I told you for the longest, it's a dub for old media. They are completely gone. They're out of here. Their voice no longer required for boxing to succeed. As far as Dillian Whyte, I don't think he's going to get a Mike Tyson fight. It was funny that he said that comment about the sly comment about the WBC. They wouldn't be surprised if Mike Tyson becomes Tyson Fury's mandatory. Listen, the one thing is he's saying it like Eminem said in his song. He said, I joke when I say I'm the best in the booth, but a lot of truth is said in jest. Right? There's a lot of truth said in jest. And even though he, formulated it as kind of like it was a joke and snarky comment, there is some truth to it, because the WBC has been under the microscope, I would say, the last few years as far as their practices, allowing more clenbuterol from fighters, for fighters to fail with higher levels of clenbuterol, when recently the only people I can even think of that have failed would be guys like Eric Morales, Canelo, Julio Cesar Martinez, Francisco Vargas, people that a lot of times have Hispanic or Latino roots. Those are the fighters, and it looks like a bias for the WBC to protect fighters. So they up the level of clenbuterol you can have in your system. Things like the franchise champion with Canelo and Lomachenko was met with heavy criticism. Many boxing fans, simply put, did not understand what the WBC was doing. Black fighters like Wilder, when he had 10 title defenses before he lost to Fury, obviously, he never became a franchise champion. It was never offered. But Wilder got more knockouts than Lomachenko got fights by a long shot. Wilder had 41 knockouts, whatever it is. Lomachenko got like 16 fights. And they franchised him, said, oh, this is what boxing needs. He shouldn't be bothered with a mandatory. Same thing with Canelo. Canelo has some questionable victories in there. Wilder, his victories weren't really questionable. And then he just recently lost. How come he was never offered a franchise champion? Everyone's saying BLM and Black Lives Matter, and there's this new precipice to focus on equalities amongst all races. But people outside of myself, I haven't really seen talk too much about these uncomfortable situations. How come Wilder didn't get the franchise champion? And I said that from day one, before the George Floyd situation and things like that. Franchon Cruz, she lost her belt controversially in a split decision, and it took a month of Sundays for her to get her belt back. Meanwhile, the WBA or WBO, whatever that other belt that she had was, they gave her belt back in a little bit more reasonable time. But they were trying to almost create an avenue and give all these opportunities for Alejandra Jimenez to come out and explain and save her rep as to why she had the illegal PEDs in her system for failed drug tests, and it's crazy. So Dillian Whyte, he's joking about it, but the truth of the matter is the WBC is also under the microscope amongst fans as far as biases and unfair treatment, or things that heavily weigh in the favor of the business. Like Canelo, they came to Canelo's defense ASAP. He failed with clenbuterol. The WBC didn't condemn him. They said, nah, he would never do that. Like, how do you know what a fighter, good, bad, or indifferent, how do you know what a fighter is doing in their personal time, and what lengths a fighter or just any athlete would go through to win? You look at ESPN, they got a documentary right now about Lance Armstrong. This motherfucker's pedaling a bicycle. And for him, it was so serious to win in the Tour de France and these bike competitions that he was on PEDs, and he was cycling on and off of illegal banned substances just to set these goals and records and crush them. So like Lance Armstrong is really the prototype. If a person is willing to do all that to pedal faster, you know, to pedal longer and ride a bike in a biking competition, then what do you think is happening in combat sports, where you know this big buff behemoth with real power, you know, or this guy like Wilder with this knockout power is coming to try to slaughter you? What do you think people would do? Again, it's there's no way you could tell me that's a cyclist. And many cyclists have been there've been cyclists. There's one from Brazil, and he failed for nandrolone and stuff. So this is nothing new. So again, if something that's not physical contact, hand to hand, it's not like you're playing football and you have to run through somebody or get stiff arm. It's not like boxing or UFC where somebody grabs your arm, puts you in an arm bar, jiu-jitsu, their arms around your neck, and boxing where you getting punched in the noodle and the noggin. It's not like that. So again, if a cyclist is willing to go and jockey for that extra advantage and that extra edge, you already know what's happening behind the scenes in boxing. Yet and still the WBC seems to play favorites when it comes to some stuff like that. So Dillian Whyte, some people would easily argue like, hey, you failed the drug test too, so you can't talk much about that. But all I know is, you know, it's funny that the remark he made, and I went on this rant because it's absolutely true. It's a lot of biases in the sport of boxing. So that's kind of what Dillian Whyte's getting at. He put it in a funny way about Mike Tyson being ranked, but you never know, because look at Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and Canelo. They fought at their own man-made weight division that is not an actual sanctioned weight class, 164.5. What other weight class has a 0.5 in it? You know, not even a full pound, a 0.5. Yet and still the WBC still made a belt for that. And Mayweather McGregor made a belt for that. So they're making a belt for that. So even Dillian Whyte's kind of saying it like he's being facetious. You never really know. Mike Tyson represents business. He represents a big name. Everyone knows who he is. I gotta be the greatest. I'm happy. I'm ranked with WBC, and I just want to come back and fight and be a champion. You know. So everybody, since they know him and know of him, who knows what the boxing will do as a business to clout chase and use that man's name. So who knows? Maybe the WBC also came out and said that they would rank Mike Tyson. So Dillian Whyte is not really far off. Now, I do have other issues with Dillian Whyte. I do think some things that he's complaining about are definitely his fault. Him and his team, Eddie Hearn, they have avoided final eliminators and stuff like that. So I can't all the way feel sorry and remorseful, because I think there's some missteps from his own team that took him out of the title fights that he could have been gotten. That's my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Sign up for ESPN Plus. They got the Bruce Lee docuseries Be Like Water. Link in the description. Get ESPN Plus, home of a lot of original content, archive fights, BTS. Get it as a standalone app, or you could combine it. ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus. All three apps, one price, $12.99 a month. Let's get it. Let me know what you guys think of Dillian Whyte's comment. I'll be back with some more heat. Like and subscribe. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego sign on. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.